Participants, myself Ajai Singh. In this presentation, I will talk about what and why of the data analysis, and basically I will be talking about based on the characteristic of our data, what are the methods of statistics are available to us, and based on the assumption of the statistics, what type of the analysis we can go for. And basically, I will start with the process of the research design. And after analyzing that, I will be talking about the different types of the statistical analysis method available to us and the conditions for their use. The any research design, it basically states about the overall plan of the study. It starts with the problem statement here, and based on that, we can identify, we can know about the purpose of the study. What is the purpose of the study? Whether it is exploration, whether it is description, or it is hypothesis testing, and what type of investigation researcher is doing, whether he or she is interested in establishing the causal relationship, whether he or she is interested in inferring the correlations, or he is interested in knowing the group differences or the rank differences. Based on that, key we can we can infer about what type of the statistics will be used in with the help of the data analysis. The another part is key up to what extent the researcher is having the interference in the process of the research, and based on that it will depend key what type of the environmental setting will be there for the conduction of the research. If we are conducting the research in the natural setting, it means that the researcher or the scientist is having minimum control over the occurrence of the phenomena. While if we are conducting the study in the controlled type of the setting or type of the lab experiment or any type of the contrived situation, in that case, the researcher is having maximum control over the occurrence of the behavior. The another part which is very much important is the study setting. As I have mentioned earlier, is the contrived or the not contrived means it has been the natural setting or the setting has been artificially made. The another part which is very much important is related with the sample. It means what is the unit of the analysis? Okay, the unit of the analysis can be individuals, it can be diets, it can be groups, it can be the organization, it can be machine. Okay, the unit of analysis is very much important from the purpose of the research design and the data analysis. It means if we are interested in knowing the behavior of the single individual or the group of the individual, based on that we will have to employ the different type of the data analysis techniques. Another part which is very much important is the sampling design, because what type of the sample we are going to include in our study is very much important, because many time we are having very much control over the selection of the sample, but many time the type of behavior or the type of study does not allow us to have control over the selection of the sample. The another part which is very much important is key what is the time horizon of the study, because if we take the example of the developmental psychology or any type of the research in the medical sciences or in the biological sciences, it is basically a type of the longitudinal research. It means the single individual or the single phenomena is observed over the period of time. It may be for the 10 years, it may be for the 20 years. If we take the example of the anthropological study, we basically study the single individual or the human race for a very longer time. It means it depends on what type of the research design we are going to use is basically dependent upon what type of the time frame we are having for the study, because nowadays in the most of the cases we go for the one shot or the cross sectional study, because we try to collect the data with the help of the survey method, with the help of the questionnaire method in one shot. And basically it allows us to have the data from a very large sample in a single shot, and it it gives us the enormous data in a single shot. The another part which is very much important is key what are the methods of the data collection. If we are collecting the data through the questionnaire or through the observation or through the interview or through the physical measurement, means what are the ways of collecting the data is very much important in the research design. Okay. The another part which is very important is the measurement and the measure. Means with the help of the the concepts and constructs, we come to the operational definition, and with the help of the operational definition we construct the items, we construct the measures, and with the help of that we prepare a whole questionnaire or the survey, and with the help of that questionnaire or the survey or the item pools we collect the data, and with the help of the data we go for the data analysis, and we reach at a result or a finding or the outcome, and based on that finding or outcome basically we try to make a contribution to the existing theory or to the existing knowledge. In this way, the particular research design, it can tell us very much about what type of the statistical analysis we are going to use in that study. So, for example, if we are having any type of the predictive relationship or the contributory relation type of the study, in that case, we can go for the regression type of the research, we can go for the correlation type of the research. If we are interested in knowing the differences type of the study, we can go for the t-test type of the statistics, we can go for the ANOVA type of the statistics, we can go for the rank difference type of the statistics. It means key the purpose of the research or the objective of the research or the statement about the problem of the research, it can give us very much knowledge about what type of the statistics is going to be used in the research. Now, what type of the data we are having with, whether we are having the qualitative data or we are having the quantitative data. If we are having the qualitative data, we can go for the different type of the techniques to analyze the data. And if we are having the quantitative type of the data, we are having different methods to analyze that data. Okay, in the case of the qualitative, we are having different paradigms to look into the data. Okay, first one is the post positivist, number two is the interpretivist, the third one is the constructivist, the another one is the transformative, the next one is the critical theory, and the last one is the pragmatic. All these paradigms basically they look into the they look into the qualitative data from the different perspectives, and they reach at the different conclusion based on their method of study. But if we are having the quantitative data, then what type of the purpose we are having with, whether we are going for the observation or we are going for the intervention. If we are going for the observation, then what is the purpose? Whether we want to make a comparison. Okay, if we are going to make a comparison, then we are having different methods of the analysis. But if we are not interested in comparison, in that case we can go for the descriptive type of the things like the case report, case study, okay, questionnaire, survey, audit or review type of the method. In the case of the intervention type of the purpose, the random group allocation is there or not. Basically it will determine what type of the technique we can use. If we are having if we are not having the random group allocation type of the technique, in that case we can go for the quasi experimental type of the method. And if we are having the random group allocation, then in that case we can go for the exact experimental method. Based on all these, we can say the assumptions, we can decide what type of the method or what type of the technique will be appropriate for the particular type of the purpose in a design. The next slide basically it talks about what is the unit of the analysis and what is the purpose of the analysis, and based on that what type of the statistics can be used. Here it starts with the question, does my research question require me to collect qualitative or the quantitative data? Here, if we are having the qualitative data, what is the unit of the analysis, group or the individual? And if quantitative data, am I comfortable with the sampling method and the sample size? Okay. If the person is comfortable with the sampling method and the sample size, in that case, if we are interested in making a comparison, we can go for the t-test, ANOVA, and the other hypothesis tests. And if I am looking for the relationship between variables, what level of the measurements are the variable themselves, in that case, we can go for the chi-square test, Spearman correlation, rank order correlation. Okay, we can go for the regression type of the analysis. This diagram basically helps us in if we are having the both either qualitative or quantitative data, and what is the purpose of the study. Based on that we can go for the different data analysis technique for the analysis. In the next slide basically I will be talking about if we are having different type of the variables as independent and dependent variable, and we are interested in studying the relationship among the variables. For example, if we are studying the relationship between nominal and nominal variable, okay, in that case we can go for the chi-square test for the independence, we can go for the coherent Q test, we can go for the Fisher exact probability test here. If we are having one data, okay, one variable as the nominal one and another variable as the ordinal one, in that case we can go for the sign test, median test, Mann-Whitney U test, Kruskal-Wallis test, one-way analysis of the variance. Okay, if we are having the one variable as the nominal one and another variable as the interval, in that case we can go for the analysis of the variance. And if we are having the one variable as the nominal one, and if we are having the dependent or the criterion variable as the independent variable, interval variable, we can go for the multiple discriminant analysis. Okay, in the other condition, if one variable is the ordinal one and another variable is the ordinal one, in that case we can go for these type of the correlational techniques like Spearman rank order correlation or the Kendall rank correlation. If we are having one variable as the ordinal and another variable is the interval one, we can go for the analysis of variance with the trend analysis. Okay, if we are having one variable as interval and another variable as interval, we can go for the regression type of the analysis. Here we can go for the analysis of variance, and here we can go for the interval and interval relations in multiple regression analysis. If we are having more than two variable here, two or more variable here, okay, and we are interested in studying the relationship with the interval variable and the nominal variable, we can go for the multiple discriminant analysis here. And if we are having the multiple interval variable, we can go for the canonical correlation type of the data analysis. It means that depending on the characteristic of the independent and the dependent variable or the two variable, whether they are nominal, ordinal or interval, whether they are having the comparison group of the two or more, based on that we can opt for the different type of the statistics in the data analysis. In the next slide, basically I will talking about the comparison of the parametric and the non-parametric type of the statistic. Okay, in this flow chart, it tells about which test statistics should you use, what type of the data we are having, data is continuous or discrete or the proportion. If data is continuous, whether that is normally distributed or that is skewed. If normally distributed, we are having one group, we are having two group, or we are having more than two group. Okay. So if we are having one group, what is the sample size? Here, what is the sample size? If we are having two groups, paired or unpaired, based on that, we can go for the different types of the test. If we are having more than two groups, we can go for the ANOVA. If we are not having a normally distributed data, we can go for the non-parametric type of the statistics. Again, if we are having two groups or more than two groups, paired, non-paired, based on that, we can opt for the different types of the data analysis. Okay. If we are having discrete type of the data, in that case, paired and non-paired, we can go for the chi-square test, we can go for the Fisher's exact test, we can go for the Mann-Whitney U test, we can go for the chi-square test. It means key based on the characteristic of the data, key whether that data is continuous, discrete or the proportion, normally distributed or not, because based on the data screening, we can identify whether data is normally distributed or not, and based on the characteristic of the data we can go for the parametric or the non-parametric type of the statistics in the analysis. In the next slide I will be talking about the non-parametric test in a bit detail. Okay, here we are talking about the use of the sum of the non-parametric test. In the case of the chi-square, as I have earlier discussed, is when it is used with the nominal data for one sample or two or more independent samples. In the case of the Q test, it is used with more than two related samples measured on the nominal scale. In the case of the Fisher's exact probability test, it is used with the two independent sample measured on the nominal scale. Okay. In the case of the sign test, it is used with the two related samples measured on the ordinal scale. The median test is used with one sample to see if the randomly drawn measures are from a population with a specified median. Mann-Whitney U test with the two independent samples on an ordinal scale, the Kruskal values is basically a non-parametric equivalent to the one-way ANOVA, and the Friedman two-way ANOVA is again it is equivalent to the parametric two-way analysis of the variance. And the Konglomerov-Smirnov test is basically it is used with the one sample or the two independent samples measured on an ordinal scale. So based on these characteristics of the data, we can use the different types of the non-parametric test. Again, the condition is that based on the data screening, we can decide whether we have to go for the parametric type of the test or the non-parametric type of the test. In the next slide, I will be talking about the use of the multivariate tests. Okay. Here, what we are seeing is what type of the relationship is being examined. Okay, here is what we are looking into, the relationship of the dependence. Here is the relationship of the interdependence. Okay, here is the how many variables are being predicted. Okay, if we are having the multiple relationships of the dependent and independent variable, we can go for the structural equation modeling. Okay, structural equation modeling is basically a multiple relation type of the test, because it basically takes into consideration the antecedent variable, the consequent variable, and the mediating and moderating variables at the same times. Okay, and it basically talks about the the measurement model as well as the structure model. Here is if we are having several dependent variable in a single relationship. Okay, and what is the measurement of the scale of the dependent variable, metric or non-metric? Okay, in the case of the metric, what is the measurement scale of the predictor variable? And if it is metric, we can go for the canonical correlation analysis. In the case of the canonical correlation type of the analysis, we are having, we should have the multiple independent variable as well as the multiple dependent variable. And basically, it is a type of the multiple correlation between the two sets of variables. And if we are having the non-metric type of the measurement of the predictor scale, we can go for the MANOVA or the multivariate analysis of variance. Okay. Here what we can do is one dependent variable in a single relationship here. Okay. And if we are having metric type of the data, we can go for the multiple regression or the conjoint analysis. If we are having non-metric type of the data, we can go for the discriminant analysis and the linear probability analysis. Okay, if we are looking into the interdependence type of the relationship, in that case Okay, is the structure of relationship among the variables or the cases or the objects. Okay, if we are studying the interdependence among the variables, we can go for the factor analysis type of the statistics, and we can go for the confirmatory factor analysis type of the study. If we are interested in identifying or looking into the relationship among the cases, in that case, we can go for the cluster analysis type of the things. Okay. And if we are interested into studying the relationship among the objects, okay, in that case, we will have to look into how are the attributes measured. Okay, and based on that, we can go for the metric and non-metric, multidimensional scaling, and the correspondence scaling. Okay, and all these multivariate type of the statistics are subject to the different assumptions of multivariate statistic, like the linear relationship, like multicollinearity, like multivariate outlier assumptions. Uh, so until unless ki our test is not able to qualify all the screening tests of the multivariate statistics, it is not advisable to go for the multivariate type of the statistics. In the next slide, basically, I will be talking a bit about the sample information. Okay, the sampling design and the sample size. The Rose 1975 proposes the following rule of thumb for determining the sample size. Okay, the sample size larger than the 30 and less than 500 are appropriate for most research. It means कि if we look into the relationship between the sample size and the sampling error, it basically tells us कि after a particular level, if we are going to enhance the size of the sample, it is not going to reduce the sampling error anymore. It means that कि after a particular level of the sample size, if we are increasing the sample size, it is not significantly contributing to the reduction of the sampling error. It means कि after a particular level, if we are increasing the sample size, it is not going to contribute significantly to the reduction of the error. Okay. The second point is that कि where sample are to be broken into subsample like male, females, juniors, seniors, etc. A minimum sample size of the 30 for each category is necessary. It means that if we are going for the different levels of the comparative study, in that case, if we are having a large number of the subcategories within a sample, in that case, the we should go for a minimum sample of the 30 for each category, because if we are not following this line of advice, in that case our result will not be able to reach on the expected line. In the case of the multivariate research, the sample size should be several times as large as the number of the variables in the study. It should be it should be 10 times or more as large as the number of the variables in the study. It means that any multivariate research, it should have the higher level of the sample. The next point is for simple experimental research with the tight experimental controls, the successful research is possible with a small sample as 10 to 20. It means if we are conducting the real experiment in the laboratory type of the setting, in that case, a smaller sample will be able to give you the real result or the exact result based on all these characteristics of the sample. It can be said that if our data is able able to fulfill the characteristics or the assumption of a particular type of the statistics, we can go for that type of the statistics. And if we are able to perform the statistics based on the exact assumption of that statistics, we will be able to have a result and the outcome which is very much representative of the population, and we will be able to generalize the results in the better manner. Okay, with this slides, I would like to thank all of you. Thank you very much.